The morning I learned I wasn't invited to my sister's wedding, I was holding a cup of coffee that had gone cold while my mother rearranged white roses for the 100th time. "You understand, don't you?" she said, her voice sharp as winter frost. "Elena deserves a perfect day, and we both know how you can be. How I can be." Those 3 words had haunted me since childhood. Code for being too tall, too successful, too much of everything my family couldn't handle. My name is Sophia Chen, and at 27, I've photographed over 200 weddings across 6 continents. My lens has captured pure joy in Parisian gardens, tearful vows on Icelandic cliffs, and stolen kisses under Moroccan stars. Yet here I stood in my childhood kitchen in Portland, being told I'd ruin my younger sister's big day simply by existing. "Of course," I replied, my voice steady as granite. "I completely understand." My mother, Grace, finally looked up from her flowers, studying me with those pale blue eyes that had never quite seen me as I was. At 55, she'd perfected the art of casual cruelty, delivering devastating blows while arranging centerpieces. "Good. The venue has strict capacity limits, and Bradley's college friends simply must be there." She adjusted a rose, oblivious to the lie we both knew she was telling. The beachfront Miami resort could hold 300 guests. Elena had invited 200. This wasn't about space. This was about the same toxic pattern that had defined our family for decades. Elena, my baby sister at 24, had always been the golden child. Where I was tall and direct, she was petite and soft-spoken. Where I'd built an international photography career, she'd chosen a safe marketing job downtown. Most importantly, she was marrying Bradley Morrison, a real estate agent with the right connections and the right last name. Their October 15th wedding had consumed every family dinner for months. 7-course menus, string quartets, imported orchids, every detail dissected while my own life remained unmentioned, unwelcome, unseen. "When's the ceremony again?" I asked, though the date was seared into my memory. 4 o'clock. Beach photos at sunset. My mother's voice warmed when discussing Elena's plans, a warmth I'd never felt directed at me. "She'll wear Bradley's grandmother's pearls." Can you imagine? 3 generations of Morrison brides. Beautiful, I said, meaning it. Despite everything, I loved my sister. The problem wasn't Elena. It was the twisted dynamic our parents had created where only one daughter could shine. And it was never me. My phone vibrated. A text from Lucas. "Milan meeting incredible. October still perfect for you?" I smiled, typing back quickly. "More perfect than you know." "The resort has their own photographers," my mother continued, missing my moment of joy. "Very traditional, very elegant. Traditional and elegant. Unlike my work, which Vogue had called revolutionary and breathtakingly raw. I specialized in truth, not poses. The gasp when a groom first sees his bride. The grandmother wiping away tears during vows. Real moments that told real stories. "I'm sure they'll create something lovely," I said. My mother studied me suspiciously. "You're taking this well." I expected drama, another family code word. Any emotion I showed was drama. Any boundary I set was drama. I'd learned young that reactions only confirmed their narrative of me as the difficult one. Why would there be drama? Elena deserves her perfect day. Something flickered across her face. Surprise, maybe disappointment. She'd prepared for tears, for fighting. My calm acceptance unsettled her more than rage would have. "Well, good." She turned back to her flowers. "I'm glad you understand your place. Your place." 2 words that summarized 27 years of being pushed aside. I grabbed my keys. I should go. Client meeting, another wedding. The dismissal in her tone was razor sharp. The most important one of my career. That evening, I sat on my apartment balcony watching Portland's skyline blaze orange and pink while Lucas filled my laptop screen from his Milan hotel room. Behind him, Italian lights twinkled like fallen stars. Yeppe confirmed everything, he said. That smile I'd fallen for 3 years ago lighting his face. "The villa's ours October 15th. He says the light will be perfect. Are you sure about this?" I asked, though my heart already knew the answer. Lucas leaned forward, his dark eyes serious. "Sophia Chen, I've never been more sure of anything. The question is, are you?" I thought about my mother's words, about decades of being too much, too inconvenient, too successful for my family's comfort. About graduation ceremonies where my achievements went unmentioned so Elena wouldn't feel bad. About bringing Lucas to exactly 2 family dinners before realizing they'd never see him as more than another way I'd overstepped. "I'm sure," I said. "Let's do this." The weeks that followed blurred into secret preparations. I photographed a stunning elopement at Multnomah Falls, edited until my eyes burned, and showed up for Sunday dinners like nothing had changed. But everything had changed. "What will you do during Elena's wedding weekend?" My father asked one evening, cutting his steak with surgical precision. Daniel Chen was the quieter parent, which made him safer but not safe. He chose peace over justice, silence over truth. I'm thinking Europe, I said casually. Lucas has work in Italy. How nice, my mother said without looking up. Just don't post anything on social media. We can't have you stealing focus from Elena's day. Mom, Elena said suddenly, Sophia can post whatever she wants. I stared at my sister, shocked. Elena rarely challenged our mother, especially about the family hierarchy. I just think everyone should live their own life, she added quietly, then returned to her pasta. For a moment, I glimpsed the sister I'd lost to our parents' toxic dynamics. The little girl who'd sneak into my room during thunderstorms, who'd beg me to teach her photography before our mother decided my success was a threat to Elena's self-esteem. My phone buzzed with another message from Lucas. Yeppe sent photos. You're going to cry. I opened the images and nearly gasped. The Villa Margherita was a dream carved from ancient stone, terraces tumbling toward the Mediterranean, gardens wild with jasmine and roses, arches that had witnessed centuries of love stories. Sophia, are you listening? My mother's sharp voice cut through my reverie. Sorry, what? I asked if you need hotel recommendations for Miami, since you'll be traveling anyway. The irony was delicious. We're not going to Miami. Oh? Where then? Sicily, Palermo specifically. Lucas has a documentary project. My father perked up. Sicily. The food alone, National Geographic did a whole spread. You'll get incredible photos. That's the plan, I said. October 13th through the 18th, 2 days before Elena's wedding, 3 days after. After dinner, Elena walked me to my car, a rare gesture these days. The October air was crisp, autumn beginning its takeover of summer. Sophia, she said as I unlocked my door. Are you really okay? About my wedding? I studied her face in the streetlight. She looked troubled, guilty even. I'm okay, I said honestly. I want you to be happy, but it's not fair. Mom not inviting you. The directness surprised me. We'd danced around this dynamic for years, never naming it. It's her choice, I said carefully. And yours. If you really wanted me there, I would be. Elena looked down, scuffing her designer flats against the pavement. Mom says you can't help making everything about you. That even when you try not to, you pull focus. The words stung despite their familiarity. What do you think? A long pause, then quietly. I think you're brilliant and successful, and sometimes that makes me feel invisible. But that's my problem, not yours. The honesty took my breath away. I squeezed her hand. You're going to be a beautiful bride, Elena. She squeezed back, then let go. Enjoy Sicily. Driving home through Portland's quiet streets, I thought about that moment of connection and felt a pang of loss. But then I remembered 27 years of being diminished, dismissed, disinvited from my own family's life. October 15th couldn't come fast enough. 3 days before our flight, my phone rang at 7 a.m. Elena's name on the screen sent my heart racing. Are you getting married in Sicily? Her voice was panicked, breathless. The question hit like ice water. I sat up in bed, mind spinning. We'd been so careful. Jessica's cousin works at the Italian consulate. She saw your marriage license application for Palermo. Mom's losing her mind. My heart stopped. Of course, international marriage paperwork. The one detail we couldn't hide. Elena, just tell me. Are you getting married on my wedding day? The moment of truth. I could lie, delay the inevitable explosion. Or I could finally choose honesty over family management. Yes, I said quietly. October 15th, in Sicily. Silence stretched between us like an ocean. The same day, she whispered. You chose the exact same day. The venue only had certain dates available. Don't. Her voice turned sharp. Don't pretend this is about scheduling. She was right. I'd chosen October 15th partly for practical reasons, partly because I was done scheduling my life around Elena's moments. You're right, I admitted. I chose it because I wanted one day that was completely mine. No comparisons. No competitions. Just me and Lucas. Mom's going to destroy everything. She's already calling vendors, trying to move my wedding. That's not my responsibility anymore. The words hung between us, revolutionary in their simplicity. I love you, Elena said finally, her voice breaking. But I don't understand this. I love you too. Have the most beautiful wedding day. I meant it. Despite everything. I wanted her happiness. I just refused to sacrifice mine for it. The flight to Rome stretched endless, 11 hours of anticipation and anxiety. But when Lucas met me at baggage claim, solid and real after months of video calls, everything else faded. Ready for this? He asked as we boarded our connection to Palermo. I've been ready my whole life. We reached Villa Margherita as the sun set, painting everything gold and rose. Yeppe met us at the gates with a lantern and a smile that could light up all of Sicily. Welcome, welcome. He embraced us like family. Tomorrow you see everything properly. Tonight we eat, drink, and celebrate that you're here. The villa exceeded every photo, every dream. Ancient stone walls held the day's warmth. Gardens cascaded toward the sea in waves of jasmine and roses. From our bedroom terrace, the Mediterranean stretched endless and blue. Any regrets? Lucas asked over breakfast the next morning. Only that we didn't do this sooner. October 14th dawned perfect. I watched from our window as florists transformed the garden into something from a fairy tale. White roses climbed the stone archway. Olive branches created natural sculptures. Jasmine perfumed everything. Our friends began arriving at noon. Marcus and Jenna, photographers from LA who'd flown in just for us. Isabella, Lucas's sister, with her husband Carlos and their twins. David, a filmmaker friend who'd insisted on documenting everything. This place is magic, Isabella said, hugging me tight. I might never leave. Isabella was everything I'd wanted in a sister. Supportive, warm, genuinely happy for others' success. Watching her children chase butterflies through Yepes's garden, I felt a different kind of family forming. By sunset, the terrace was transformed. Chairs arranged in an intimate semicircle. Brass lanterns casting golden light. The scent of herbs and roses mixing with salt air. Ready? Marcus asked, checking his camera one last time. I looked at Lucas waiting under the archway, the Mediterranean blazing orange behind him. At our chosen family gathered close. At Yepe beaming with pride. I've never been more ready. I walked toward Lucas in my simple silk dress, carrying roses and rosemary from the garden. No anxiety about others' expectations. No worry about being too much. Just presence, joy, and the man I loved waiting to marry me as the sun set over Sicily. The ceremony was brief, perfect. We'd written vows about choosing each other daily, about supporting dreams and weathering storms. Yepe, ordained online just for us, spoke about the villa's centuries of love stories and how honored he was to add ours. When Lucas kissed me as the sun touched the horizon, our friends cheering and the garden glowing gold, I understood what happiness without conditions felt like. The reception unfolded like a dream. Local chef, garden vegetables, wine from grapes grown on the hillside, a guitarist playing songs that made Isabella's children dance between the olive trees. To Sophia and Lucas, Isabella raised her glass. For choosing love over convention, beauty over politics, and Sicily over Miami. Everyone laughed, but I noticed Marcus frowning at his phone. Everything okay? Just slow upload speeds. These photos deserve to be seen. He'd been shooting all day, not just ceremonies, but moments. Yepe presenting us with olive oil from his trees. The children's laughter echoing off ancient stones. The way Lucas looked at me like I'd hung the moon. No rush, I said. We have time, but Lucas was checking his phone too. My producer saw the Instagram stories. She wants to discuss a potential project. This place photographs like a movie. You posted already? Just a few. Nothing major. I opened Instagram and froze. The notification count was astronomical. 8,947 likes on a photo I didn't remember posting. Lucas had shared several images with my permission, forgotten in the joy of celebration. But the response was beyond anything I'd imagined. The sunset ceremony photo, me walking toward him, dress flowing, Mediterranean light creating a halo effect. Our vows, both of us laughing at something Yepe said. The reception toast, ancient walls and trailing jasmine creating a backdrop from a fairy tale, but the comments made my stomach drop. Wait, is this the same day as your sister's wedding? The one you mentioned? My phone rang immediately. Elena, Sophia, what the hell is happening? Your wedding is all over Instagram. Photography accounts are reposting everywhere. Some blogger just wrote about the most romantic wedding in Sicily using your photos. What blogger? Everyone. Wedding inspiration accounts are going crazy. That sunset photo has been shared thousands of times. Mom's getting calls asking why she wasn't at your wedding. Aunt Patricia saw it in a Facebook group and called crying because she thought she'd missed a family event. I walked away from the group, trying to process. Our private ceremony was going viral. People are asking me why I wasn't at my own sister's wedding, Elena continued. Do you understand what this is doing? Before I could respond, she hung up. I stared at my phone. Instagram followers had jumped from 3,000 to 15,000 in hours. The numbers kept climbing. Everything all right? Yepe appeared with concern. Our photos are spreading more than expected. Ah, yes, Marcus showed me. The Italian Tourism Board shared one on Facebook. They love when Sicily looks this romantic. I found their post, our ceremony photo with captions in multiple languages about Sicily being perfect for couples seeking magic. Hundreds of shares. Thousands of comments. We need to talk, I told Lucas. He read my expression immediately. What's wrong? We've gone viral. Elena says wedding blogs are sharing everything. Our private moment is becoming very public. The group went quiet. Marcus looked guilty. I uploaded to my portfolio with location tags and wedding hashtags. When my followers share things, he didn't need to finish. Beautiful content spread like wildfire online, especially content as stunning as his work. How viral? Lucas asked. I showed him. 25,000 followers and climbing. Notifications beyond count. Missed calls from unknown numbers. Maybe this isn't bad, David suggested. These photos might inspire others to choose authenticity over spectacle. He had a point, but all I could think about was Elena's hurt voice and my mother discovering our marriage through social media. Yet looking around at our friends, Yepe's joy, Lucas reaching for my hand, I realized something. I didn't want to control this. Our wedding was beautiful because it was real. If the world wanted to celebrate that, maybe that was okay. By October 16th, the numbers were staggering. The sunset ceremony photo had been shared 50,000 times. But that wasn't the biggest shock. David uploaded the ceremony video to YouTube, Lucas told me over breakfast. His 10-minute film with natural sound and sunset shots. Views? 2 million in 12 hours. I stared at the laptop, showing numbers updating in real time. 2 million strangers had watched our most intimate moment. Look at the comments. Lucas scrolled through responses in dozens of languages. People calling it the most beautiful wedding ever filmed. Asking about Sicily. Sharing their own stories about choosing love over family pressure. This one's my favorite, Lucas pointed to a comment from Australia. I've been planning a huge wedding to please my parents. This made me realize I'd rather have something meaningful with people who truly support us. Thank you for showing what authentic love looks like. Despite my anxiety, that comment warmed my heart. If our choice inspired others to prioritize authenticity, maybe the attention served a purpose. My phone rang. Elena again. Your wedding video is on Good Morning America, she said without preamble. British talk shows are sharing it. Mom's getting calls from reporters about the family rift that inspired your Italian escape. Reporters, Sophia. Actual reporters. What kind of reporters? Entertainment lifestyle bloggers. They're calling it the wedding that broke the internet and love wins in Sicily. People are creating narratives about family drama and romantic rebellion. I closed my eyes. Our private choice was becoming public entertainment. I never intended this, Elena. But you're not stopping it either. She was right. David had asked permission before uploading. Marcus had shared with my consent. I could make everything private, but would it change anything now? Silence, then smaller. Probably not. Mom showed me a neighborhood Facebook post about your romantic escape from family drama. How was your wedding? I tried shifting to something positive. Beautiful. Perfect. Everything I dreamed. She paused. But everyone asked where you were, and now everyone knows. The hurt in her voice was unmistakable. Despite everything, I hadn't wanted to overshadow her day. I'm sorry the attention is affecting your celebration. Are you? Really? The directness surprised me. You chose my wedding day. In the most photogenic place on earth. With professional photographers. Now it's getting more attention than any wedding I've seen. Is this what you wanted? I considered honestly. Had I wanted to overshadow Elena? Had some part of me hoped to prove a point? I wanted a beautiful wedding with Lucas somewhere magical. I wanted to prioritize our happiness over family expectations. I didn't plan for viral fame, and I didn't want to diminish your day. But if you had to choose, Elena pressed, between family peace and your fairy tale wedding that the world's obsessing over, which would you pick? I watched Lucas helping Isabella's children in the garden, thought about years of being too much for my family's comfort. The fairy tale, I said quietly. Every time. By day 3, the YouTube video hit 20 million views. David was fielding calls from production companies. Marcus had booked 6 luxury weddings based on our photos alone. Yepe was getting inquiries from couples worldwide. I created a monster, Yepe said cheerfully at breakfast. 3 bookings just this morning. The tourism office wants to feature the villa. Everyone wants their own Sophia and Lucas wedding. I felt thrilled for Yepe. He'd poured his heart into our day. If viral fame brought him business, that was wonderful. Any regrets? Lucas asked, echoing his wedding morning question. About Yepe's success? None. About your family? I watched Morning Light dance on the water. 3 days of interview requests, thousands of messages, and 0 contact from my parents. Elena's texts were strained and brief. Yepe said love is simple. Families are complicated. I spent 27 years trying to uncomplicate things by making myself smaller. It never worked. They always found me too much. I looked at Lucas. Now I'm married to you in paradise. Our stories inspired thousands. Yepe's booked through spring. If my family can't be happy about that, it says more about them than me. Lucas smiled. I love this version of you. Confident, choosing joy over guilt. I love her too. My phone buzzed. The video had hit 30 million views overnight. Comments had become a fascinating study in how strangers interpreted our story. Many had researched the background, piecing together that I'd been excluded from Elena's wedding. Look at this. I showed Lucas a comment with thousands of likes. I watched this every morning. My fiancé and I canceled our expensive reception and chose Italy instead. If Sophia can choose love over family drama, we can choose intimacy over obligation. Thank you for showing what's possible. We're accidentally starting a revolution, Lucas laughed. Around noon, David approached with his laptop and an unreadable expression. Ellen wants to fly us to LA for an interview. But that's not the big news. What's the big news? He turned his screen toward us. 50 million views, trending in 12 countries. And Netflix called? Netflix? They want a documentary about viral weddings and how social media is changing marriage culture. Our video would be the centerpiece. They'd interview couples who've had similar experiences, examining authenticity versus spectacle in modern relationships. I stared at him. Then Lucas. Netflix wanted to document our choice to prioritize happiness over family comfort. That's incredible, Lucas said slowly. Also terrifying. What's involved? I asked. Interviews about your decision, family dynamics, the viral response. Follow-up footage here, Yepe's perspective, couples who booked because of your video, a Netflix documentary, about the choice that seemed simple but resonated with millions. Can we think about it? Of course, but they need an answer soon. The cultural moment is now. Lucas and I walked through the gardens toward the sea. The afternoon was golden, perfect. Hard to believe that a week ago, I'd been told I'd make Elena's wedding awkward. A documentary makes this even more public, I said. True. But if our story helps others reconsider family expectations and personal choices, isn't that worthwhile? I thought about the messages from couples changing their wedding plans, people finding courage to choose authenticity. What do you think? I asked. Lucas stopped, the Mediterranean sparkling behind him. We've already changed our lives. Maybe we can help others change theirs. We said yes. 2 weeks later in Portland, I sat with producer Jessica in a downtown cafe, explaining the dynamics that led to our Sicily wedding. The video had reached 75 million views. Yepe's villa was booked for 18 months. Sophia and Lucas weddings had become a search trend. What fascinates me, Jessica said, adjusting her equipment, is how you've tapped into broader conversations about authenticity versus performance. Your videos sparked thousands of discussions about what weddings should really mean. We never meant to start cultural conversations. We just wanted to marry without managing others' emotions. That's exactly why it resonated. You prioritized joy without apology. In a world of constant performance, that authenticity is rare. The irony wasn't lost. Escaping scrutiny had brought more attention than I'd imagined. But this attention felt different. Strangers celebrated rather than criticized, supported rather than demanded changes. Have you spoken with your family since returning? The dreaded question. The answer was complicated, painful. Elena and I text occasionally. My parents haven't reached out. How does that feel? I thought about Elena's last text. I saw the Netflix announcement. I'm happy good things are happening, even if I don't understand. I thought about my parents' silence, hurtful yet liberating. The relief of not managing their reactions to every choice. Sad, I said honestly, but necessary. I spent 27 years trying to be acceptable to people who'd never fully accept me. Eventually, you choose happiness over approval, even when those people are family, especially then. The Netflix interviews spanned several days, documenting not just our story but the broader phenomenon. They interviewed Yepe, Marcus, and 3 couples who'd booked villa weddings after seeing our video. Sarah and Michael from Chicago had canceled their 200-guest ballroom reception. Your video made us realize we were planning for everyone except ourselves, Sarah explained. We forgot to consider what would make us happy. Jessica and David from Austin decided to elope after family wedding disputes. The viral response showed people actually celebrate authenticity over obligation, David said. We didn't need permission for the wedding we wanted. Hearing these stories filled me with unexpected pride. Our choice had created ripples, giving others permission to prioritize authenticity. The documentary, Love Over Obligation, How One Viral Wedding Changed Everything, premiered 3 months later. By then, our video had 120 million views, one of the most watched weddings in internet history. The premiere brought another media wave, but I felt prepared. Lucas and I did talk shows, magazine interviews, even spoke at conferences about social media and cultural change. Our message stayed consistent. Choosing authenticity over expectation wasn't just about weddings, but about life itself. The most unexpected outcome was a book deal. A publisher wanted a guide for couples navigating family expectations around weddings and relationships. Your Day, Your Way. Choosing Love Over Obligation became a bestseller, leading to speaking engagements nationwide. Through everything, my family remained silent. Elena and I exchanged occasional messages, but our relationship had fundamentally changed. My parents never reached out, though friends reported they'd watched the documentary, finding it hurtful but well-produced. Their silence should have devastated me. Instead, it confirmed I'd made the right choice. People who truly loved me would celebrate my happiness, even if they didn't understand my decisions. That my family couldn't reveal their limitations, not mine. A year later, I sat in our LA apartment editing photos while Lucas worked on a documentary about couples who'd met through our viral video. I felt something I'd never experienced, complete peace with my choices. Our wedding began as quiet rebellion, choosing joy over obligation. It became a cultural moment giving thousands permission to prioritize happiness over others' expectations. The aftermath revealed everyone's true character. My parents and Elena, confronted with their behavior, chose defensiveness over reflection, silence over reconciliation. They lost themselves in bitterness, missing the chance to celebrate genuine love and success. Meanwhile, Lucas and I built a life filled with purpose, creativity, and authentic relationships I'd always craved, but never knew how to find. Looking back at that morning in my mother's kitchen, being told I'd make things awkward, I realized she'd given me the greatest gift possible, the push I needed to finally choose myself. The second anniversary of our Sicily wedding arrived with a surprise I never saw coming. I was reviewing photos for our upcoming exhibition, Love Without Limits, featuring couples who'd chosen authentic ceremonies over traditional expectations, when my phone rang with a number I didn't recognize. Sophia? The voice was tentative, familiar yet strange. It's Elena. I nearly dropped the phone. We hadn't spoken directly in 2 years, only exchanging brief texts on birthdays and holidays. Elena. Hi. I'm in LA, she said quickly, as if afraid she'd lose courage, for work. I was wondering, could we meet? Just us? My heart raced. Of course. When? Today? I know it's short notice, but I fly back tomorrow and I need to talk to you. 2 hours later, I sat in a quiet cafe in Santa Monica, watching my sister walk through the door. She looked older, more polished in her business suit, but her eyes held something I recognized, uncertainty mixed with determination. You look good, she said, sitting across from me. Success suits you. Thank you. How's Portland? Same, Mom and Dad are the same. She fidgeted with her coffee cup. Bradley and I are getting divorced. The words hung between us like a confession. Elena, I'm so sorry. She laughed, but it was hollow. Are you? After everything? Of course I am. Whatever happened between us, I never wanted you to be unhappy. I know. She looked out the window at the Pacific Ocean. That's why I'm here. I've been in therapy for a year, trying to understand why my perfect wedding led to such an imperfect marriage. My therapist made me watch your documentary. I stayed silent, letting her find her where I hated it at first, she continued, seeing our family dynamics laid out so clearly, hearing strangers analyze why you weren't invited to my wedding. But then I watched your ceremony video. Really watched it. And I saw something I'd never seen before. What? Joy, real uncomplicated joy. You and Lucas looked at each other like Bradley and I never did. Not even on our wedding day, tears gathered in her eyes. I realized I'd had the wedding Mom wanted, married the man she approved of, lived the life she planned. And none of it was mine. You were right to choose yourself, she said firmly. I'm sorry it took me 2 years and a failed marriage to understand that. We talked for 3 hours. About her marriage ending when Bradley admitted he'd proposed because it was time, and their families expected it. About our parents' reaction, more concerned with appearances than their daughter's pain. About how she'd started therapy after realizing she didn't know who she was outside of family expectations. I'm thinking of moving, she said as the sun began to set. Maybe San Francisco. Somewhere I can figure out who Elena is when she's not trying to be Mom's perfect daughter. That sounds brave. I learned from you. She reached across the table, taking my hand. I know I can't undo the past 2 years, but I wanted you to know I see it now, all of it. And I'm sorry. Thank you, I said, squeezing her hand. That means everything. There's something else. She pulled out her phone, showing me a photo. I'm planning a divorce party. Small, authentic, just people who actually support me. Would you and Lucas come? I smiled through tears. We wouldn't miss it. Elena's divorce party took place 6 months later at a beach house in Malibu. 20 people who genuinely loved her, no family politics, no one managing anyone else's emotions. She wore a flowing white dress, reclaiming the color, she said, and danced barefoot in the sand. Thank you for coming, she told me as we watched the sunset. I know it's weird celebrating the end of something. You're not celebrating an ending, I said. You're celebrating choosing yourself. She hugged me then, the first real embrace we'd shared in years. I love you, Sophia. I'm sorry it took me so long to say it without conditions. Our parents never came around. They remained locked in their narrative. The ungrateful daughter who'd betrayed family tradition. The other daughter whose divorce proved what happened when children didn't listen. But Elena and I rebuilt something new. Not the relationship we'd had as children, but something better. A friendship between women who'd learned to prioritize authenticity over approval. The ripple effects of our viral wedding continued spreading. The documentary won an Emmy for Best Social Issue Documentary. Our book sparked a movement of couples choosing meaningful ceremonies over elaborate productions. Yepes Villa became a pilgrimage site for those seeking authentic love stories, but the most meaningful impact was personal. Lucas and I built a production company focused on documenting real love stories. We traveled the world filming couples who'd chosen their own paths, elderly partners finally marrying after decades of family disapproval, young lovers eloping to escape cultural expectations, second-chance romances that defied conventional wisdom. Each story reinforced what we'd learned in Sicily. Love is simple, even when families make it complicated. 5 years after our wedding, we returned to Villa Margherita for our anniversary. Yepe, now in his 70s, greeted us with the same warmth as that first night. "My dear ones," he said, embracing us. The couple who changed everything. The villa looked exactly the same. Ancient stones, tumbling gardens, endless sea views. But now it hosted Sophia and Lucas ceremonies every week. Couples from around the world seeking their own authentic moments. "Any regrets?" Lucas asked as we stood on the terrace where we'd exchanged vows, sunset painting everything gold. I thought about the journey. Family rejection, viral fame, unexpected purpose. The pain of losing my parents' approval. The joy of finding my own path. The thousands of couples who'd written to say our story gave them courage. "None," I said, meaning it completely. Not one. That night, Yepe showed us a wall in the villa covered with photos from hundreds of weddings since ours. Couples of every age, culture, and configuration, all choosing love on their own terms. "You started this," he said proudly. "You showed them it was possible." Looking at that wall, at all those faces radiant with authentic joy, I finally understood the true gift of our viral wedding. It wasn't the fame or success or even the rebuilt relationship with Elena. It was permission. Permission we'd given ourselves and then accidentally given the world. Permission to choose love over obligation, authenticity over expectation, joy over approval. Permission to be too much, too bright, too happy for anyone who couldn't celebrate our light. As Lucas and I walked through Yepe's moonlit garden, the Mediterranean whispering below, I thought about my mother's words that morning in Portland. "You make things awkward for everyone." She was wrong. I didn't make things awkward. I made them real. And real, it turns out, is what the world was hungry for all along. The exhibition opened on what would have been my parents' 35th wedding anniversary, a date I chose deliberately. Love Without Limits filled a gallery in downtown LA with stories of couples who'd redefined commitment on their own terms. "You ready?" Lucas asked as people began arriving. I looked around at the photos we'd spent years capturing. Each image told a story of choosing authenticity over convention, including ours, that sunset ceremony photo that had started everything, now blown up to cover an entire wall. "Ready?" I said. The crowd was diverse, couples whose weddings we documented, followers of our work, media, and near the back, a familiar figure in a black dress. Elena had come. She moved through the exhibition slowly, studying each photo, reading every story. When she reached ours, she stood for a long time, tears streaming down her face. "It really was beautiful," she said when I joined her. "Your wedding. I see that now. Thank you for coming. I wouldn't have missed it." She turned to face me. "Sophia, I need to tell you something. Mom's sick." The words hit like cold water. Despite everything, she was still my mother. "How sick?" "Cancer. Stage 3. She's fighting it, but..." Elena's voice broke. "She wants to see you." I stared at the photo of Lucas and me, radiant with joy on our wedding day. The day my mother had tried to prevent. The choice that had severed our relationship. "I don't know if I can," I said honestly. "I understand. I just thought you should know." A month later, I stood outside my childhood home in Portland. Autumn leaves falling like memories. Lucas waited in the rental car. I needed to do this alone. My father answered the door, looking older, grayer. "Sophia, thank you for coming." The house smelled the same, lemon polish and fresh flowers. But everything felt smaller, like returning to elementary school as an adult. My mother sat in the living room, thin and pale, but still perfectly put together. Grace Chen would face cancer the same way she faced everything, with rigid control. "Hello, Mom." Sophia. Her voice was weaker, but still carried that familiar edge. "You look well. Thank you." Silence stretched between us, years of hurt and misunderstanding filling the space. "I watched your documentary," she said finally. "And read your book." I waited. "You made us look terrible, even facing mortality." She couldn't let go of appearances. "I told the truth." I said simply, "Your truth." She adjusted her blanket with shaking hands. "Not mine. What's your truth, Mom?" She looked at me then, really looked at me for perhaps the first time. "That I was terrified of you from the moment you were born. So bright, so determined. Nothing like what I expected a daughter to be. I thought if I could just contain you, shape you into something manageable. You tried to make me smaller. I tried to make you safe. Tears gathered in her eyes. The world isn't kind to women who shine too bright. I wanted to protect you. By dimming my light? By teaching you to dim it yourself, so no one else could hurt you by doing it. She wiped her eyes. I see now how wrong I was. Your light? It was never meant to be hidden. I just didn't know how to be the mother of someone so extraordinary. The words I'd waited 27 years to hear. But they came too late, changed too little. I forgive you, I said, meaning it. But I can't forget. And I can't pretend the past didn't happen. I'm not asking you to. I just wanted you to know I'm proud of you, of what you've built, of the courage it took to choose yourself. She smiled sadly. I wish I'd been brave enough to celebrate it instead of fear it. We talked for an hour. Not reconciling. The damage was too deep for that. But finding a kind of peace. An understanding that we'd both done what we thought was right with the tools we had. As I left, she called out, Sophia? That photo? The one of you walking toward Lucas in the sunset? It's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. I turned back. Thank you, Mom. I'm sorry I missed it. Sorry I made you feel like you had to choose between us and your happiness. I'm sorry too, I said. Sorry it had to be a choice at all. My mother passed away 6 months later. Elena and I stood together at her funeral, 2 daughters who'd found their own paths despite, or because of, their mother's limitations. Do you think she ever understood? Elena asked as we watched them lower the casket. Really understood what she did to us? I think she understood at the end. Too late to change anything, but she understood. My father approached after the service. Your mother left something for you. He handed me an envelope. Inside, a single photo, one I'd never seen before. My mother at my age, radiant in a simple dress, standing beside a man who wasn't my father. On the back, in her careful handwriting, the wedding I didn't choose. 1985. She gave up everything for the life her parents wanted, my father said quietly. Married me because I was appropriate. Had children because it was expected. She spent 40 years trying to save you from her regrets. By forcing me to live them? By the only way she knew how. He touched my shoulder gently. She wasn't a perfect mother, but she loved you the only way she could. I looked at the photo of my mother's unchosen life, understanding finally why my brightness had terrified her. It reminded her of everything she'd sacrificed for safety, for approval, for other people's comfort. Thank you for showing me this, I said. She wanted you to know. Said maybe it would help you understand. He paused. Your wedding video? She watched it every day near the end. Said it was proof that some women are brave enough to choose themselves. That night, Lucas held me as I cried. For the mother I'd had, for the one I'd needed, for the woman she'd never let herself be. Any regrets? He asked gently. Our old question, now carrying new weight. No, I said through tears. I regret that she couldn't celebrate my choices, but I don't regret making them. 10 years after our viral wedding, we returned to Sicily once more. This time with our daughter, 3-year-old Luna, named for the moonlight that had blessed our reception. Yeppe, now frail but still bright-eyed, cried when he saw her. The next generation of love stories, he said, kissing her cheeks. The villa had become a landmark. Couples made pilgrimages from around the world. A small museum displayed photos from hundreds of authentic weddings inspired by ours. Our sunset ceremony photo hung in the place of honor, with a plaque reading, Where It All Began. Mama, you pretty, Luna said, pointing at the photo. That's your mama and papa getting married, Lucas explained. Right here in this garden. Why? The eternal 3-year-old question. I knelt beside her. Because we loved each other and wanted to celebrate that love in a beautiful place with people who made us happy. Was Grandma there? The question I dreaded. No, baby. Grandma wasn't there. Why? How do you explain family dysfunction to a child? How do you tell her that sometimes love comes with conditions? That sometimes choosing yourself means losing others? Because sometimes, I said carefully, people show love in different ways, and sometimes those ways don't match up. Luna considered this with the seriousness only toddlers can manage. Okay, can I play in the garden? As she ran off, chasing butterflies like Isabella's children had a decade ago, I realized that was perhaps the greatest gift of our journey. Luna would grow up knowing love could be unconditional, that choosing yourself wasn't selfish but necessary, that authenticity was worth more than approval. She's perfect, Yeppe said, watching her laugh among the roses. Like her parents. She's herself, I corrected. That's all we want her to be. That evening, as the sun set over the Mediterranean, Lucas and I renewed our vows in the same spot where we'd first promised forever. This time, with Luna as our flower girl and Yeppe officiating once more. 10 years ago, Yeppe said, his voice still strong with emotion. You showed the world that love doesn't need permission, that joy doesn't require approval, that 2 people choosing each other authentically is the most beautiful thing there is. As we kissed, Luna between us and the sky blazing with color, I thought about the journey, the pain of rejection, the unexpected fame, the lives changed, including our own. My mother had been wrong about so many things, but she'd been right about one. I did make things awkward. Made them awkward for people who preferred comfort over truth, for families who valued appearance over authenticity, for anyone who thought love should come with conditions, and I'd do it again. Every single time, because that awkwardness, that discomfort with the status quo, that refusal to shrink myself to fit others' expectations, that's what changed everything, for me, for Lucas, for Elena, for thousands of couples who found courage in our story, even in the end, for my mother, too late for reconciliation, but not too late for understanding. As Luna played in Yepes's garden, her laughter echoing off ancient stones, I knew she'd grow up making things awkward too, asking hard questions, choosing her own path, shining too bright for some people's comfort, and I couldn't wait to watch her light up the world. The exhibition catalog from Love Without Limits ends with a simple dedication. To everyone who's been told they're too much, you're not too much, you're exactly enough. Choose yourself, choose love, choose the life that makes you awkward with joy. And to my mother, who taught me the cost of choosing safety over authenticity, may we all be brave enough to choose differently. The sunset ceremony photo that started it all now hangs in our home, a daily reminder of the moment we chose love over fear, authenticity over approval, joy over other people's comfort. Sometimes Luna asks to hear the story of Mama and Papa's special wedding. We tell her about Uncle Yepes,